No problem. I'm just glad you're finally here. I'm so sorry if you're wondering why I look like a Virgo did my makeup today. It's because people actually gave me money to look like this. So, just bear with me for now. How has your day been? I know what you mean. I'm so ready to just chill. Oh yeah, I have been so extremely busy. So sorry I haven't found the time, but now we can finally pick up where we left off. First, let me light some incense. God knows I need that. Okay, this might not burn all the way down, but that's fine. It's just sandalwood. This one, yeah, stays pretty secure in there though. Get some matches. Oh, and the boiler turned itself on. Be right back. I said no, Mia. That's the boiler's model name. It's Mia. And Mia has a life of her own. She likes to turn herself on without being asked. Surprisingly, that just fit the theme. Just burn. Gotta be careful with this one, but instantly relaxing. And of course, can't forget about the Baileys. I'm sorry I didn't have the time to decorate. This is just gonna be a very basic evening. Oh. Oh, cannot get enough of that scent. Okay, so I know basic bitches love their wine, but I don't. But I feel like this is a good alternative. Okay. to a fun, relaxing evening. Basic, casual fun. Party at my house tonight. I know, even though it's just us two. It's more fun than most parties, 'cause you're my best friend. So, which one did you want to read? Gemini. The least basic sign. Got it. You sure you don't want to read Libra? Okay, at this point I just feel bad for Libra. Right, let's see what we got. Do you know any Geminis? My cousin is a Gemini. I'm not sure I want to know what she's like in bed, but whatever you want, we'll read. Chapter 7, Gemini. The first air sign, Gemini, is probably the most sexually playful sign of the zodiac. His planet Mercury delights in communication and loves confusing people. In ancient times, Mercury, or in Greek, Hermes, was associated with a trickster personality. Today we can see that the Gemini twins love to play games, especially when they involve sex. Gemini's dual nature means that he can easily shift roles and enter into whatever sexual fantasies you or he might like to spin. The communicator. Communication for Gemini takes many forms. There are funny voices she can turn on or off. There is talking about people, love, and sex. And there is thinking about sex, like wondering if people do it the same way in Borneo. Should I say it? Borneo? Or creating a scenario when the pretty waitress or hunky trainer passes by. The daily life of a Gemini is filled with thoughts of a possible seduction. Sometimes a fling with Gemini consists entirely of a witty and engaging conversation. These mercurial people receive energy from the act of talking, and in certain cases, a stimulating conversation is almost as good as being physically intimate. New drinking game. Do not take a shot for every time you want to call bullshit on something this book says. If you are in a long-term relationship with a Gemini, you might notice that social occasions where she can talk to many different types of people leave her brimming with energy as if she had sex. Well, in a sense she has, because the energy of talking is a sexual experience for Gemini. If you are the recipient of Gemini's infatuation, listen to her talk. Interrupting the flow of words will turn Gemini off, and she's not likely to want to get close to you at all. E-zone, not strong physically, Gemini has to nourish his nervous system. If he is near a lot of smoke and air pollution, his system will suffer and he won't feel very sexy. Shout out to all the Geminis who are smokers and probably hate themselves. Gemini has a surprising personality and a very low boredom threshold. He must keep on the move physically, mentally, and sexually. He can be faithful in a committed relationship, but before he does such a thing, he wants to experience lots of flirting and lots of flings. The sign is masculine, but because of the dual male and female nature of twins, you may notice an androgynous quality in many Geminis. Bisexual tendencies may be present with many Gemini people. Their sexual imagination is so strong that if a guy or girl perks their fancy, they don't see it as strange, and they're happy to experiment. When you and your Gemini are between the sheets, expect her to ask whether you like this or that, or if you have a better idea. She can be very bold in trying all types of sexual activity. Then she checks out the experience and determines whether it was interesting or not. Anything that was not interesting will not be repeated. What turns Gemini on and off? Singing, whispering, laughing, funny voices, whistling, ear-blowing, foreign accents, and a clever turn of phrase are the foreplay choices for Gemini. Once his mind is engaged and you have communication between you, the energy can move away from the mouth and down the body to equally pleasurable areas. I can never seem to say that word. Pleasurable. 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 This will happen quickly if it is going to happen. Gemini does not belabor or delay anything. Of course, oral stimulation is a basic part of any sexual encounter for Gemini. The sense of touch is very light with Gemini, and a gentle caress on the breast or a stroke of his cheek will be enough to start the motors humming. It is also a turn on for Gemini to hear conversation from the street or in the next room as background atmosphere. Music or the sound of waves will keep him mentally engaged while he is making love. Gemini does not like silence. Remember that song? essential. Whether or not your climate is hot, having a ceiling fan on is always a soothing noise for Gemini. She also likes the feeling of moving air currents. Decorate your room with a mobile high overhead so that from many positions, Gemini can see shapes moving in the breeze. I'm trying to picture that right now. Is it just me, or does that sound more like infant care tips? I don't know. Babies like to be entertained or whatever. Gemini can easily enter into role-playing fantasy, and it is a major turn on. The key ingredient is a sense of play. Usually, intense bondage or discipline scenarios don't appeal to her because Gemini isn't interested long enough in sensations that might hurt. Oh. However, if her partner is into it, no problem. Gemini is also turned on by a spontaneous, I didn't know we were going to do that approach to sex. Here. There will be no method to her pleasure, and if you catch her and are not flexible, be prepared for some adjustments. A major turn off is someone who speaks slowly or takes a long time to heat up sexually. When the notion comes to Gemini, he is ready and willing. He can do fun foreplay for a while, but once sex is in motion, it usually goes to a quick conclusion. I have a question. Quicker than Aries? There is a good possibility of an encore, but if his partner is slower, always slower, that won't suit Gemini's sense of speed. Another turn off will be any heavy conversations of what didn't go well. With Gemini, the way you speak about sex is as important as the sex itself. Try having pet names for favorite positions or body parts. That way you can say, well, the ring-a-ding-ding was pretty good, but let's try the king in his castle again. And Aries is turned off. If you need a top up at any point, please help yourself. Speaking in his personal sex code will make Gemini pant for more. Gemini is also turned off by fussy plans or rigid schedules. Sorry, Virgo. Take advantage of the moment is his motto, and if you miss the moment, it's no nookie for you. Gemini's strengths and specialities. In a word, a Gemini's strength is her tongue. She can use it in all the ways you can imagine, and then come up with a few you never thought of. The sign's love of oral sensation translates easily to sexual pleasure everywhere. Variety is the spice of life and sex for Gemini. What the? Stop being so noisy, damn it, it's not a holiday. She will not bore you and will expect the same in return. Different possessions, different atmospheres, and different tastes all will keep your affair exciting and fun. Gemini has a great ability to tease and tickle. Hand-holding, making dirty gestures, or even manual stimulation under the table at social functions if you're bored could be a romantic sport for Gemini. She will wait, here. That way, you can both keep your private sex world going and don't have to pay attention to uninteresting people. Now that's something I can get behind. Essential. Gemini has a highly tuned nervous system. He can become hyperstimulated and needs a lot of sleep. His best times for a romp are early morning and before 10 p.m. Too many late nights wear on him. The phone, text messaging, email, and faxes are all sex toys for Gemini. How does that fit? What? She loves to keep a steady stream of sexy dialogue going. That way, by the time you get together, all systems are on alert and primed for activity. Gemini's weaknesses and foibles. Physically, Gemini usually tends towards leanness and doesn't feel quite solid. What do you mean not quite solid? As in liquid? Cats? Is Gemini a cat? He moves so quickly that half the battle making love is to catch him. Don't expect bear hugs or clingy behavior. Gemini moves into your life, connects, delivers his message of pleasure, and more than likely moves on. His energy is very charming, but can be superficial. He is a master of sexual fantasy when his motor has revved up. The actual deed should happen quickly. In-depth feeling is not his strong suit. For water signs who may like silence after lovemaking, Gemini takes some getting used to. The relaxation of sex stimulates him to talk, even if he may not make a lot of sense. The Gemini Man. As a partner, there are usually two major, long-lasting partnerships in a Gemini's life. Catch him in between these two, and you will have a very good time. Gemini Man has a powerful interest in information about everything. He gathers facts, trivia, theories, and thrives on news and reading magazines. He may be thoroughly versed in few subjects, but will know little about a whole lot more. Sex is a subject that interests him, and he will be proud of his knowledge and eager to put it into practice. These guys can be wild, especially if they get a hold of a sexy book or video. Oral interests are strong. Their nervous structures are sensitive, so they may be very speedy when first with a lover. But Gemini loves to do things in twos, so another opportunity will soon come your way. A Gemini man will usually have long, tapered, and elegant hands. Touching them could be the start of a more in-depth relationship. He will also want to use his hands in unusual ways as part of the deluxe Gemini sex package. Like what? Just a second. The incense went out. I'm just gonna light the lower half. I accidentally stepped on a packet, so it's a little bit crumbly. No. I'm also roasting some veggies in the oven for us. When we eventually do get hungry, we can always munch on those. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I have to go check on them soon. They don't take a whole lot of time to roast. Maybe 40 minutes. It depends on the size you cut them, so I'm trying to gauge. But I give them like 50 minutes, and I have to go check on them. Gemini man loves to flirt and tease and will be outrageously imaginative in terms of compliments he pays you. If you laugh at his jokes, you will be well on your way to an affair. Gemini wants to feel mentally tantalized by a lover, and it is a wonderful game to try out any scenario that catches his fancy. A love affair will be fun, engaging, and brief. That's what it says. The Gemini woman. A Gemini lady can be very uninhibited and is not overly concerned who knows it. She loves to quip about sex, and she loves to put her quips into practice. Remember, Gemini is a masculine sign, and this is very evident in the Gemini woman's approach to sex. She enjoys pursuit, seduction, and flirting, but is happy to take an active part in the sexual dance. She does not tend to be demure and may find talking trashy a turn on for herself and her partner. She can be a wanton tease. Gentleman, if you're interested in a Gemini girl, make a move quickly, or you will be misled and then rejected. Alert! It is a sometimes unpleasant observation that Gemini equates insults with intimacy. If he gets on a verbal roll, he can be very hurtful. But when you call him out on it, he will say, "I was only joking." You know, that kind of guy. Yeah, we all know that kind of guy. It is not intentional cruelty, but an annoying habit. If you notice this trait, the only thing to do is toughen up, plug your ears, or go to another room. Okay. Back to the Gemini woman. Gemini women's style is simple, and they usually have very good figures and a little black dress that shows it off nicely. They like solid, muted colors as well as black and white. Pale blue usually suits their complexions. A Gemini woman can have two lovers at the same time, but her preferred way to do this is to have one in a separate city. Is to have each in a separate city. A little distance in motion keeps things manageable. Setting the scene. After a unique date, such as a car rally or a lecture on building windmills, you and Gemini can go any place with a modicum of privacy. It could be your place, a hotel, a roadside inn, a deserted beach cabana, a back corner of the library stacks, or perhaps a child's playroom. Wherever you end up, the space should have lots of windows and a ceiling fan. Daylight or a well-lit space is preferable because Gemini likes the turn-on of seeing her lover. As you walked inside, the hand caress begins. Or perhaps you're meeting at the special place. Then expect a steady stream of text messages or chats on the cell beforehand. By the time you get together, you're both ready, and you may not even make it to the bed. The living room floor is fine. The beach cabana with the sound of the waves is excellent, or even a convenient kitchen counter. When the moment comes, Gemini acts. You and your Gemini are laughing and speaking in all sorts of different voices. Then the comedy is interrupted by deepening pleasure as the mouth and tongue find other activities. Then there's a pause, then you continue. And so the night goes between jokes, laughter, and sex. What do you think about that so far? Anything you agree or disagree with? Yeah, I mean, I don't much because I don't know that many Geminis. I do agree though that pale blue looks amazing on my cousin. Did you know that Sailor Mercury is a Gemini? Go figure. What else? I forgot. Okay then. Ready for the sexy matches. Hot and not so hot combinations. Gemini is generally a sexy sign because she's so experimental. There are better combinations than others, but if your combo isn't listed as hot, don't despair. A relationship with a Gemini is probably the most changeable of the zodiac. Read the following combinations to maximize pleasure and minimize strife. Gemini and Aries. These two fan each other's flames as Gemini's element air feeds Aries' element fire. There may be ferocious discussions about what turns them both on, and whispered words about the best technique. But when it comes down to getting physical, these two signs like a quick date and then another and another. Their rhythms are in sync. Gemini can't stand to be bored, and Aries can't stand to wait. Expect lots of oral pleasure and lots of jokes. Laughing and tickling might be all the another one of those words, preliminaries, these two hot signs need. Essential. Yoga, singing, or breathing practice on a consistent basis is a good way to keep Gemini's nervous system in good sexual form. When she's overstimulated, she can't concentrate on any one thing. Sometimes a Gemini woman's own changeability makes her dizzy. I would like to hear from a Gemini how exactly that works. And also how fax machines can double as sex toys. That'll never fit. Gemini and Taurus. The next door neighbor signs of Gemini and Taurus have different elements, air and earth. There is potential for good sexual chemistry here because Gemini amuses Taurus. For a fling or wild evening of unpredictable sex, this combo is okay. Taurus' solid nature, though, usually turns off Gemini's creativity and whimsy for anything longer than a one-night stand. The sexual ground where these two meet is the feel of skin. Gemini has very sensitive skin, and Taurus loves to touch it. Gemini and Gemini. This is a polygamous relationship by definition, because there are 4 partners, the 2 Geminis and their twins. Geminis immediately recognize their own, and there is a great sexual charge between them. They can talk, play games, amuse themselves, and fantasize, and they can try out many different ways of lovemaking. The best part of the relationship is that they never bore each other. Gemini and Cancer. Mercury and the Moon are the rulers here, and there is delight between Gemini and Cancer, if not passion. Gemini changes his mind so frequently, and Cancer changes her mood so frequently, that they can understand if one person wants to play with sex toys one night and then prefers plain old sex the next. At the core of this relationship, Gemini is usually too cool for sentimental Cancer, but before these sides find that out, they can have a very good time. Gemini and Leo. There are many opportunities for pleasure here. Gemini entertains Leo, who loves the drama of Gemini's different roles. These two take turns intriguing, servicing, and enjoying each other, and Gemini's ear fans Leo's fire. Leo is a dramatic sign and always welcomes communication in any form. Gemini's verbal facility and love of wordplay will lead her to compliment Leo, and the fastest way into Leo's pants is with compliments. This combination is fun and hot. Both signs are inventive and like making love near a sunny beach. Gemini and Verico. This is called a square relationship in astrology and is not easy. Both Gemini and Virgo are ruled by Mercury and are thinking signs. However, they are in different and incompatible elements, air and earth. Essential. Best advice for Gemini: if you have the hots for Virgo, don't keep him waiting. He won't give you another chance. Whereas airy Gemini and earthy Taurus interest each other, Virgo and Gemini cannot meet in a manner that encourages good sex. They may pique each other's minds, but getting down to physical passion requires naked lust. These two signs have too much going on mentally and might not really get down to it. Sex between the two is interesting, but not juicy. Gemini and Libra. These two air signs always have lots to say to each other. They are good friends, and that ease can turn into friendly sex. Gemini is definitely the wilder of the pair and may have to soothe Libra's need for romance before there is any action. Alert. The scent of lavender will be a great turn on for Gemini and Libra. And flowers for Libra will always get her in the mood. Libra and Gemini both will enjoy sexy clothing. Libra has no problem with thigh-high boots and fishnet stockings, and Gemini will enjoy taking them off. Or another night, they might include lace and leather. Of course, all these games require lots of discussion, and that pleases both sides. Gemini and Scorpio. Here we have the elements air and water, and the combination between the most easily distracted sign, Gemini, and the most focused sign, Scorpio. Sexually, it can work only because Gemini is able to experiment with anything that may pique Scorpio's interest. If Gemini wants games, that is okay with Scorpio. If Scorpio wants a brief encounter in a bathroom or behind the bushes, that's okay with Gemini. But at the end of the day, these two signs may not have much to do with each other once the games lose their excitement. Gemini and Sagittarius. These are opposite signs, but they have compatible elements, air and fire. These opposites attract and complement each other. In the bedroom, both signs believe in fun and silliness. Emphasize any kind of oral sex with a Sag or Gemini, and both will be pleased. Love of sports and the outdoors gets the circulation and passion going with this sexy combination. One of their great pluses is that Gemini's natural inclination toward change and Sag's absolute need for motion and freedom have free rein when these two get together. They understand each other's needs, and that usually translates into good sex. Gemini and Capricorn. This is a not so hot combination unless each person has a bit of Gemini or Capricorn in their chart. The elements are air and earth, but Capricorn's sensuality and seriousness overwhelms Gemini's need to play and try out different sexual ideas. Also, Gemini rarely can be the kind of solid citizen that Capricorn enjoys, so these two might never get to first base. If they do and Gemini makes Capricorn laugh, then there is a possibility of a good time in the sack for a while. What do you think? Yeah, all I'm honestly hearing is talk. And faxes are sex toys. I cannot get over it, and I will not get over it for a while. Do you get that sometimes when the rubber part of your socks makes your legs itchy? These are hiking socks and I really like them. They're very comfortable as opposed to regular socks because they have like a padding here. Here on the balls of the feet and on the heel they have padding. On the bridge here, no padding. Just makes it extra comfortable to, hike in. These are meant for walking long distances, which I have been a lot the past 2 weeks. It's been insane. of that than them sliding off the entire time. Okay. Essential. To help focus Gemini's hyperbrain, try this technique. While both of you are lying on the floor, cup your Gemini's head in your hands, and with gentle pressure over the ears, cradle her head. You will notice her breathing immediately steady and relaxed. She may not like it for a long time, but it will prime her for relaxed sex. Gemini and Aquarius. This combination can be the Kama Sutra in action because both signs are interested in exploring sex. They may have a great time belonging to an adult book club just to see what people are doing. The two air signs have compatible sexual energies. Passion, feeling, and love are not what bring these two together. Their combo is hot because they are mentally attuned and fearless, and trying whatever sexy thing they think up. Each sign also understands the variable needs of the other and can give them space to fool around. They're good companions and will try to understand each other in and out of bed. Hold on just a second. I need to go get something. Sorry. Tiger Balm. I've been requiring quite a bit of that stuff lately. I am 1000% sure I caught a bug or something from all the appointments I had and all the people I had to talk to. So now I just put this on every other night or so. I love using Tiger Balm. It makes my throat instantly better. It's so underrated. I never see anyone else use this, but it's just so pleasant. Okay, where were we? Oh, do you want some chocolate? I have some of that. And we can snack. Yes, that is my secret stash by my bed. Got these ones that are tiramisu flavored. Got a bunch of them on offer the other day. And those are quite good, really. Oh, I don't even like tiramisu, but I like these. That's how good they are. This one. This one is mousse au chocolat. This one fits the theme the best. It just tastes like a basic chocolate. Really good quality chocolate. But still just chocolate. Oh, yeah. Creme brulee. These are very, very sweet, and they have some caramel up on top. And there's my favorite. I don't even know how to say that. It's an Italian dessert. Zabaione or something. It's basically a white wine custard. And for some reason, that really works. The stuff is divine. It's just the balance between the sweet chocolate and the tanginess of the wine with the creamy custard inside. Go ahead and help yourself. Okay, now where were we? Pisces. Gemini and Pisces. Air and water in this combination is not so hot. Gemini and Pisces have a square relationship, which is challenging for an in-depth connection. Sexually, Gemini's planet Mercury is too abrupt and fickle for Pisces' Neptunian sensitivity and emotional needs. The rhythms are quite different also, because Gemini is speedy and Pisces likes a languid time in the bedroom. The bedroom. Here's the bed. It's such a bad room. It goes down in the corner. Gemini may enjoy Pisces' dreaminess for a short time, but Pisces wants to shut off the mind and sex, and Gemini wants to stimulate it. The two don't have enough in common energetically to produce hot sex. Sex planets, Mars and Venus. Appendix B, blah blah blah, Mars and Gemini. This placement gives a person great intellectual force and curiosity. Communication abilities, both sexually and verbally, are strong. There will be a strong fantasy life with this placement, and usually the person will have few inhibitions about making fantasy reality. Mars and Gemini can be assertive when he feels he knows a lot about the subject at hand. He might take a course in sexual techniques or read lots of books on the subject. When he feels confident he will have no problem pursuing his intentions. If your lover has this position in his chart, emphasize learning about sex and how much you can learn together. Men with this position will tend to want more than one go-around per date. The first is almost like a rehearsal, but there is usually a good second finale. Venus in Gemini. People with this placement are witty, can rhyme almost anything easily, and love to display their verbal prowess. A conversation with multiple partners is one of Venus and Gemini's sexual delights. The energy exchanged by talking caresses her mind and gives her a charge. A steady diet of only talk may not be enjoyable, but as a prelude or when there is no one else around, a verbal shag is almost as good as the real thing. Doubt it. Because of the curiosity of Venus and Gemini, she may make dates with a lover's sister or brother or good friend, not realizing that this is not usually done. She can compartmentalize, and if she sees someone who catches her eye, she doesn't think, oh, this person is off limits. Wow. Gemini does rule brothers and sisters, so it is all part of the wonderful world of sexual possibilities for this very flirtatious placement. Wow. Hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your brothers and sisters. Heck, hide your dog. Oh, what did you think about this chapter? Yeah, I do feel like it was shorter than the rest. Thought it was just me, but no, it was a little shorter. They probably ran out of ways of rephrasing talk. Yeah, that's totally what happened. So, are you hungry? How about I go take this awful makeup off and we can have some dinner. Roasted some sweet potato and zucchini and red peppers. I also have some leftover pork. Yeah, all it takes is just heating it up. Sounds good. Okay, you gonna keep the bottle of Baileys? Okay, sure. I'll just go and take them out of the oven, and then it's